You make the point that Libs have to win a lot of seats, and I think that it's the electoral arithmetic that's tough. You can see they're doing well in the polls, but when I sit down and go seat by seat by seat around the country, it's hard to see where the swag of wins are going to come to move the needle enough for Dutton to form majority government. And this is why I guess that fallout out of New South Wales, the embarrassment, the shambles last week of not getting their forms in for a number of local government elections is devastating. They tried over the weekend to get the State Electoral Commission to grant them an extension. That failed. There's talk of a class action from candidates. We know the State Director, Richard Shields, was sacked late on Thursday night. More and more calls for the party president, Don Harwin, to be sacked for his role in this whole mess. The front page of the Telegraph today reports Peter Dutton isn't ruling out a federal takeover of the division. Now, I have to declare here, my husband is the former Liberal Party federal director, Brian Loughnane. He's been asked by Dutton to do an urgent review into this whole calamity. He wants to know, Peter Dutton, are they ready to fight the next election? But it's been a shocking couple of days for the Liberals, hasn't it, Dennis?
Oh, it certainly has. It's been very bad for the New South Wales Liberals. But in some ways, this could almost be a blessing in disguise. It's not like Europe or France or Italy, where local council elections have a flow-on effect, direct flow-on effect to federal elections. What we're actually seeing, though, is a demonstration of how bad organisation, a lack of organisation, can actually limit the activities of the federal party at a federal election. And I think in some ways this will be a blessing in disguise, because I have no doubt that Brian Loughnane, who's the best in the business in these reviews, will provide the grounds for Peter Dutton to actually take over the New South Wales branch and provide a solid management going into the election next year. So I think that while this has been a bad week, it does have an opportunity for Peter Dutton to exert some federal control on a very riven state branch.
And it's interesting too, there's all this debate about, the heavy-handedness, quote unquote, if the feds do take over the New South Wales Libs. But I need to mention, it was reported in The Age yesterday, that is exactly what's happened in Victoria by federal Labor over the last couple of days, and it's barely rated a mention. Anthony Albanese has written to the ALP National Secretary, Paul Erickson, and says, Erickson, I want you to take on the responsibility of all the Victorian Labor pre-selections for the federal election. Now, two very different media treatments here, Dennis, to the same issue. One's in Victoria with Labor, one's in New South Wales with the Liberals.
Oh, one man's intervention is another man's cooperative takeover. Look, I think both leaders, both Peter Dutton in New South Wales and Anthony Albanese in Victoria, would be only too happy to have the opportunity to actually bring in some federal discipline to the redistribution and the pre-selection, because redistributions have changed things. We still haven't seen the final redistributions, federal redistributions, and I think both federal leaders know the importance. After all, New South Wales is going to decide the federal election, and they cannot afford to lose one or two seats. And by the same token, Anthony Albanese doesn't want to give up Labor's stronghold in Victoria. Both leaders are doing exactly what you would expect them to do, although it comes with different excuses and different treatment.
Spot on, Dennis Shanahan. Thank you for your time.